Hello, and welcome to Tune Into the Moon on Spirituality Gone Wild. I'm so glad to be with you today. Happy Moon Day. As I've mentioned before, that's not just a cute little thing I do. The days of the week are named after the originally discovered 7 planets. And so Monday in French is lune, lune day. So it goes lundi, mardi, mercredi, jeudi, vendredi, samedi, dimanche. And those translate to the days of the week as we know them in English. So again, happy Moon Day. Um, we've got a lot of things going on this week. I'm going to begin by tuning you into the moon. But what I'd like to begin with is whoever's out there checking in, letting me know that you're there and where you're checking in from. I'm so grateful for you. I want to express my gratitude for Debbie Garcia, who's behind the scenes running everything so that this is possible. And I want to begin by having you put your feet on the ground, on the floor. And we are electromagnetic energy, and the earth is electromagnetic energy. So about 3.5 feet below the earth is what's called your earth star, a very grounding point for you. And when you walk, if you walk mindfully, you can, really feel your foot connect with that point with every step and feel the love from the earth and send love back through your feet to the earth. We're going to be talking a bit about that today. So put both your feet on the floor and feel the energy from your whole body move down through the earth. If you're in an apartment building, go down to the ground and go down through the basement until you get to the earth and feel yourself connect with that beautiful earth star. Such a blessing to help ground you. And now on your inhalation, bring beautiful bronze light up through your body. Let it fill every cell of your body. Just let the breath float up, nourishing every cell with that bronze light. And as you get to the crown chakra, it joins with white light. And as the white light comes down on the exhalation, you feel yourself turn golden as the bronze blends with the white light. And your mental thinkety-think, all that mind chatter moves down, calms down as the breath on the exhalation moves behind your facial mask, your throat, your chest, comes to land in your heart, and you feel that golden light spread from the heart throughout every cell of your body, all the way to the tips of your toes. So let's do 2 or 3 of those. Inhale. Exhale, drop into your heart. Again, inhale. Exhale, fill with golden light, drop into your heart. Not called the soles of your feet for nothing. Connect your soul to the earth. Breathe in. And out. And now feel the next few breaths, breathing in and out of your heart. You'll know when you're there because you'll be present in the present moment. Be present in the present as the presence in your heart. And the heart has many more times the neurons that the brain does. So we're really being asked to move into a more heart-centered consciousness in every way as we move forward into this year of beginning to create the new earth. So is anyone out there? I'm not seeing anyone chiming in, but if you're out there, please let me know. I will continue chatting to myself in the universe and hope that you can join me out there and let me know that you are indeed out there. So as we begin this week, the moon is in Taurus. Hi, Susan. Thank you for checking in. And I send you some heart-centered energy this morning. And as the moon has moved into Taurus, it moved in actually this morning at 6:47 a.m. So it's fresh. It's at about 2 degrees right now. And Taurus brings us back to the earth, back to our senses. It really kind of literally says, come to your senses. You know, get a massage or give yourself a massage. The power of touch is very, very relevant with the moon in Taurus. The moon is said to be exalted in Taurus. It's what's called a fixed earth sign. And so fixed means it can be very stubborn and intractable, holding on to things, especially things. It can be the most material girl of the zodiac. So if part of your plan, your strategy for during this month, during this Capricorn cycle, is to get rid of or let go of all extraneous things, this is a really good cycle to put that into motion, particularly since we are in the first quarter phase of this current lunar cycle. And we're going to go through 2 phases this week, the first quarter phase and the gibbous phase, which will guide us to next Monday's full moon in Cancer. So next Monday, we'll be celebrating the full moon, and we'll be doing, some wish work, some release work. So be sure to join me for that. I'll also be doing a little bit of a reading, the beginning of a reading for Debbie, because Debbie's birthday is coming up. She was born with her sun at 0 degrees of Aquarius. So every year when the sun moves into Aquarius, she gets to celebrate her rebirth day. So we'll be doing a little bit of that, telling her a little bit about what's coming up for her. And with the first quarter phase, a week has passed since the new moon, since you set those intentions, since you planted that seed deep in faith and consciousness, deep below the soil of your conscious expression. And so it's the first new moon of the year. So it's very, very powerful. And it's in the sign of the master strategist, Capricorn. And this is cardinal energy. So it gives us some go juice to get that plan and that strategy created. And if you were here last week, you got to go through the meditation with me that put us at the mountaintop that we're going to be sitting on by the end of the year, that we want to be viewing our life from at the end of this year. It's a very, very different year, and you've heard me say that many times. So paying attention to your body, enjoying being in your body during the time that the moon is in Taurus is very, very important. The challenge with Taurus is equating having enough with being enough. If you are enough, you always have enough. If you know that your enoughness comes from the fact that you are a spark of spirit manifested as a glorious, unique expression in this world, if you are in that space, then you have enough. And what is enough? Oftentimes with the Taurus energy, if we're not feeling self-confident or feeling our true value, then we end up acquiring to fill the hole in our soul. But Taurus it's very magnetic. So it's always going to manifest. So just know that if you have strong Taurus energy, you're not going to be able to keep stuff away from you. So you don't have to worry about that. Sometimes the thing is the ability to let it go. And a good exercise for the Taurus moon, if there are things that you want to release on, spiritually, mentally, emotionally, physically, it's really good. A good exercise is to sit with your legs uncrossed and your arms down at your sides. And as you take some breaths, allow the energy of your shoulders to just drop. If you're wearing your shoulders like earrings, you'll know that you've got some tension going on. And clench your fists and inhale. And as you exhale, say, I allow, 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 and allow those fingers in that fist to just release and see the energy that's been held on to just going back into the earth. Taurus might be called the earthiest sign of the zodiac. So be sure to get out in nature however you can. I was talking to my grandniece the other day, and it's 20 degrees in New York where she lives. We've been having beautiful, beautiful weather here in California, but it makes it challenging to get outside. So if you can just even walk outside once during the day. And a wonderful thing to get in the practice of doing during this Capricorn Earth cycle and this Taurus Earth moon is to call the directions in the morning. The east is always first because that is the rising sun. That is a new beginning. Just to be grateful for that new beginning. And then to welcome the energies of the north and the west and the south, or however you want to go around. Actually, you go south next, and then west, and then north, and then above, below, and the center. And if you do that, combining that with the Earth Star awareness that I talked about a couple of minutes ago, you'll find that you are grounded and you greet the day with a lot of wonderful positive energy. You can look up on, Google the directions, and you will find which one fits for you. Many traditions, many ways of calling the directions. But it's a wonderful, wonderful thing to do to ground yourself. And remember last week I talked about the Solfeggio frequencies, and I talked about how the earth actually vibrates. All of nature vibrates to love and above. So that's a really, really good thing to remember. So that's why if you get out in nature and just allow yourself to feel it vibrate and feel how your body is a part of nature, and feel that earth star below your feet. It's too cold right now to put your bare feet on the earth. But I was listening to a movie this morning on YouTube, and I'm going to go back and I recommend it to you. And I would love to hear what you think about it. You can always message me at Moon Powered Astrology. The movie's called Earthing. And it talks about how since we started wearing shoes with synthetic soles, we have become much more disconnected from the earth. So Earthing, again, is the name of that movie, and it's free on YouTube. So check that out. Actually, I live in Morongo Valley, and right up the hill, another 600 actually, let me see. Yeah, it's 800 to 1,000 feet higher than I am, and I'm at 2,800 feet. We have Yucca Valley. And Yucca Valley had an earthing store for a while. And I went in there and got some sheets with silver running through it. And you could put this stake outside the window and it would ground you. And I have a lot of air in my chart, so I could really feel that grounding effect. But watch the movie. The story's interesting. And especially as we have the North Node moving into Taurus during this month, looking at how to ground yourself throughout this year is very important. Also with Mercury retrograde in air signs. So I'm going to be talking about that as soon as I get through the moon report. So this is a good evening to focus on creative and spiritual goals. You might find, let me see what these dates are. I want to be sure I've got, because we have a planet moving in direct motion. And that planet is Eris. And that's going to be moving in direct motion today. Stations direct today. Eris, 557-year orbit. It's in Aries right now, so that's a huge orbit. It's been in Aries since 1927, and it'll be there till 2048. So it's inexorable. It really takes its time to do its work. But you might find as Eris stations direct that there, as the day goes on, as you move into evening, that you feel some dissatisfaction, or that you want to right some wrongs, or be the rebel with a cause in kind of a fiery way. So you might just watch that and not let it rob you of your peace. It's been retrograde since July 21st of this past year, 2021, and so now it's moving direct. And Eris is the goddess of discord. So as it moves forward, when a planet is retrograde, stations direct, it's slow, it's really intense. So we might see some marches going on this week. There are marches going on all over the world, big crowds claiming sovereignty, freedom, and the right to express the individual uniqueness that we're all blessed with. And so, of course, it plays into this time of the old systems breaking down to allow a new concept of freedom and equality for everyone to come into being, to be birthed. This is part of the birthing of the new earth. And so Eris disrupts the status quo. And the story, actually, she is considered to be the feminine side or the sister of Mars. So that tells you, wherever Mars goes, energy flows, but Mars can also be the god of war. So Eris plays into that as well. But as the story goes in Greek mythology, Eris, there was a wedding on Olympus, and Eris is the daughter of Zeus and Hera. And so she was left out of the wedding. Everybody else, all the other gods and goddesses were there, but she was not invited. She was angry and hurt. And this is what you're seeing in the public right now as they become awake and aware of what's going on. And the thing is for us to rise and stay in the high side of that, because what Eris did was she went to her brother and told him, and he declared war. So making your point of view known in a way that's beneficial. How can that energy of discord be used proactively rather than reactively? You might ask yourself that as Eris moves forward. And wherever Eris is at 21 degrees in your natal chart is where this energy has been heating up over the summer. And whatever you noticed about that desire to express your individuality, now you've got kind of a green light to move forward on that. Tomorrow, we're going to have the moon in Taurus unite with Uranus. And Uranus has been traveling through Taurus, and it is the planet of liberation and freedom and awakening. Uranus is considered to be the god of chaos. So you kind of see a theme running through here, right? We've definitely been in a time of that. So this points up the disparities between our spiritual ideals and our desire for personal fulfillment. And, ask yourself what you really want. With Jupiter and Pisces, this can be confusing. It can be a confusing time. It can be challenging to get a handle on that. And you might feel that your self-confidence is undermined. So one of the things to remember is that you're reminded that you can rely on your significant others and aligned friends for support, to support your bigger term goals. So that's one of the things with Eris and Aries too. It reminds us, no man, that old phrase, no man is an island. So even though Aries can say, I can do it myself, that's not the time we're in. We're in a time of collaboration. It doesn't mean that you neglect your boundaries. That's the thing that Aries cautions us against. And it reminds us, know your boundaries, your healthy boundaries. Then when you step into a relationship, those are in place. But to have, sometimes if we don't express them, if we're not clear on what those healthy boundaries are and what our wants and needs are, we can end up having to create confrontations and situations where we truly are in the mode of the goddess of discord. So that's Tuesday. You want to remember that. The thing with the moon in Uranus and conjunct Uranus also is that it can wake you up to new ways to live, to new ways to ground yourself, to some of the things that comprise what the new earth means to you and how you're going to walk that. So Wednesday feels a bit more grounded as that aspect moves away. And, you want to strengthen your goals, and strengthen your bonds with home and family to feel more nurtured and more needed. So that's part of your earth grounding too, definitely your family, your relations, your community. And on Wednesday, the moon moves into void of course mode at 3:19 a.m. until 7:08 p.m. that evening when the moon moves into Gemini. So that's a long void of course. And void of course sort of means nothing happens energetically because the moon is not making aspects to any planet. And this is why I always say all you need to do is reach for the moon, because the moon aspects all the planets as it moves through a sign. And then the dance stops unless there's a planet at late degree. Then the dance stops. And we have this period called void of course. So there's no energy being transduced or transmitted from the planets through the moon to us, to that 70% of water that we are. So Wednesday is a great time to kind of take a look at what we are grounding, take a look at what enough means to us, take a look at our plan to ground our finances, our relationships, and our values into our world more in a more sure, solid way this year. Because as we move into Gemini, the focus shifts to the breath, the lungs, the arms, hands, and shoulders. Remember, to live fully, you've got to breathe fully. And 33 conscious breaths a day will change your life. And that's a great thing to do in the morning. So if you breathe consciously in and out, put your hands on your belly, feel your belly move. Because oftentimes people with predominant Gemini energy just breathe up here. You know, they're just chest breathers. So you want to bring the breath from all the way down, fill your whole body, you know, do the heart drop. And, you know, with the 33 breaths, it's interesting because when I started doing those, I found that I would get distracted after a few breaths. Well, then you get to go all the way back to the beginning. So ultimately, you end up breathing even more wonderful deep breaths. And of course, breaths are put prana in your body, which is not just air, it's life force. It's the breath of the divine. And that's what is breathing you, and you are allowing and welcoming into your body all the time. So remember that while the moon is in Gemini. You might find we move into the gibbous phase on Thursday. First quarter phase is the phase where you take action on the intentions you set a week ago. Look at those action steps. Each intention ought to have 3 action steps underneath it that you've kind of committed to by calendaring it. So check those out, because on Thursday we move into the gibbous phase. And we have a square to Eris at that point, now moving direct. So not by sign, but by degree. So it may stir up controversy. You may find, so like I said, there's a little bit of an edge to this week in a way. So, working your default program of staying in your heart, remembering that Jupiter in Pisces reminds us to be compassionate. Be compassionate first. Listen well before responding. Be proactive whenever possible. And, you want to cultivate an open mind so that you're open to an array of possibilities, because that's what Gemini can bring in, an array of possibilities. Its mantra is variety is the spice of life. So there's a really good side to that. The challenging side with Gemini energy is the ability to focus. And that becomes even more challenging as we move into Friday, because Mercury stations retrograde. And Mercury's really interesting this year. As soon as I finish this, we're going to talk about Mercury. And it retrogrades at 10 degrees of Aquarius, and it will move in direct motion on the 3rd of February at 24 degrees of Capricorn. We have 4 retrogrades this year. The 4th one begins on the 28th of December, so it's really into 2023. But it reminds you that if you're going to make arrangements, if you're going to make plans for a Christmas, New Year's, they could really change, and you want to get them in order early and be flexible because they could change. That's what Mercury retrograde tends to do. It tends to kind of throw a monkey wrench into any solid plans that we have. However, the 3 retrogrades prior to that are all going to be in air signs. So that's the sign of the mind, of ideas, of thought. And we're going to, it'll begin in Aquarius, but then it'll back up into Capricorn. So the ideas, the visionary ideas, then we have the opportunity to put a strategy under them, put them on solid ground, and look at how we're going to do that. Remember, Mercury retrograde is highly intuitive. It has to do with the way we perceive and interpret ideas and thoughts. It is the ruler of the way we think. So oftentimes in relationship, it's a really good thing to know where's your Mercury and where is, that other person's Mercury, because it'll tell you about how they think, and it will help you navigate the way that they tend to take in information, so that you can things can be more simpatico, more copacetic. Um, so this may you may find that clear communication is derailed, and resolution may not come so easily, if at all. And we're building toward a Cancer full moon, so even though we've got this Mercury and air, we might find that, and it's the ruler of the moon, which will then be in Gemini. So it reminds us to rethink things, review things. And in Aquarius, reconnecting with friends, reconnecting with your community, reconnecting with your vision, and your idea of what you would like to see happen for humanity in this time of revolution and evolution is really good points of focus for this Mercury retrograde. You might find that as the moon moves into Cancer on Saturday, it will move in at 8:11 a.m. in the morning. And prior to that, the moon will be void, of course, when you wake up. So just know that. So allow yourself to be, to focus on what you're doing, and, to just know that there's nothing happening until 8:11 a.m., and then you'll have more energy, more wind beneath your wings, so to speak. And, the desire for protection will begin to come into view. And you'll be in the gibbous phase. So the gibbous phase, which, as I mentioned, begins Thursday. The gibbous phase is that pressure cooker phase. It's that phase prior to a full moon, the last 3.5 days of the waxing cycle, that tells you to polish your progress, to see if your energy has been aligned with your intentions, or if you've kind of been all over the place. And with a lot of these energies this week, especially with Mercury turning in retrograde motion, you might find that that's the case. Now, we've already been in shadow for 2 weeks. And when it moves direct on the 3rd in Capricorn, we'll have shadow for 2 weeks following that. So these retrogrades, so it means that we're going to have, 15 weeks. 7 times 3, 21. 21 of the 52 weeks this year, we're going to have Mercury retrograde. And that's true every year. I mean, if you count the shadow period. So it continually reminds us to rethink, to align our consciousness with the world that we want to live in, and that we are, that we're directing our energy toward every day. So the signs that it's going to be retrograde in give you your clues. But you're going to have to keep a deep pocket full of patience handy, and a good sense of humor. That's always really important. And of course, Mercury is going to back up into Capricorn, and that is the sign of the sober realist. So, its desire, it's moving from the Aquarius is ruled by Saturn and Uranus, and Capricorn's ruled by Saturn. So as we begin this year, we're asked to take a realistic look at how we are going to walk to be that change that we wish to see in the world, and to really commit to that. And as you've heard me say before, I find that committing to that before you get out of bed in the morning is really, really useful and important. One of the things that's continuing to happen is we have these coronal ejections from the sun. We are moving through the photon belt. You might find that you have headaches, that you have tinnitus, that you have some odd symptoms because of all this light that's being downloaded onto the planet, so that we can all rise and embody more light. So light and love, always the answer, dropping into your heart, doing what you can. There are meditations that are great for ingesting light. One thing you can do as you're doing those 33 breaths is to just see light coming into your body, light coming into your being. Feel your cells dancing, quickening as they welcome that light. And then feel that light move out into your community, out into your world, across the whole planet. Loving every plant, every person, sending love to those who are having a really hard time right now. Filling the oceans with your light. Seeing it purify the oceans and embrace the whales, the dolphins, the fish, all those amazing, amazing creatures in the ocean. and the container of most of what we are, water. And then see the light move out into the universe. And then stand strong and feel the light return. Squared 10 times, it returns to you to fill you with light so that you are emanating that light wherever you go, so that you are in that light. And if you stay in love and light, if you stay at that high frequency, chances are you will be healthy, you will be protected, and you will not be so swayed by all the emotional vicissitudes that are going to begin to come up, particularly as the moon moves into Cancer. It's going to be there, of course, all weekend. And the full moon is going to be at 3:48 p.m. on Monday. So as we get together on Monday, there will be plenty of time for you to be preparing, your altar, your space, your consciousness, your journal for the full moon coming up. It's going to be the fourth full moon in a row at 27 degrees. That has to do with the galactic center alignment. Although at this point, it's a dance of adjustment between Cancer, is the sign that's ruled by the moon. It's all about nurturing, about feeling protected and safe. It has to do with family, our roots, our home of origin, and our home now. And it rules the digestion and the stomach and the breast area. So as the moon moves into Cancer on Saturday, it's a perfect time to do your monthly self-breast or self-pectoral exam. Anybody else out there? Be sure to check in and let me know you're out there. I love it when you say hello. All right. Hi, John. Nice to see you. Thanks for joining. Hello, Nancy. Oh, Nancy Soren. Oh, my gosh. Bless. And Gory, thank you for checking in. Wonderful. Yes. So confidence. I love it. Leslie, hello. And Olivia, hello. Wonderful. Thank you. I send blessings from my heart to yours. So on Sunday, we're going to have the sun conjunct Pluto at 6:30 a.m. So Sunday might feel a bit intense. We got the moon in Cancer. If you're a water sign, that'll feel better for you. But you might find that this conjunction with Pluto, you might see things that aren't normally visible also, because Pluto takes a deep dive, and Pluto brings up those things from the shadow side that aren't often revealed. And you might find that if you've had a week that's been a little confusing, where it's like, oh, I want to take action on my goals, but it's been a little challenging, your clarity, you may find that on Sunday with that conjunction that the clarity returns regarding your goals. And that's great because you're in the gibbous phase where you're polishing your progress, and you want to, take an action step on each intention before the full moon pops your progress, shows you what you've manifested. And it'll give you a stronger determination to achieve those goals. Even if the goal is, which it has been for me, getting your strategy and your planning in order, really getting a feel for what it is that you want to do with these energies that are so different this year. So, and if you want to know more about those energies and how you can harness them and use them to have your best year yet, book a session with me. It's a great time to book a session and, get your year laid out, get your map laid out. Aloha, Elisha. Hello. Happy Moon Day from Hawaii. I mentioned that we are, that we're going to be in a dance of adjustment with the galactic center with this full moon. So we are really being taken to the farthest reaches of our universe, and then back to the navigation tool that we have with the moon for how these rhythms impact our bodies and our lives. So it's doing this dance between the above and below, between the galactic and the local. And I find that just so interesting. When I mentioned Eris Eris is the farthest out there. It's a dwarf planet, but it's the largest of the dwarf planets. And as I mentioned, it has a 570 some odd year or 557 year orbit, I think I said. So we have Haumea, which I'll be talking about at the time of the full moon, Sedna. We have these dwarf planets that have come into our astrological language and the language of our universe now. It's like, well, those are so far out there. Why are we bothering with them? Well, it reminds us that we are galactic citizens, and that at the time of this Mercury retrograde, you may find that you actually have galactic messages coming through, not only local messages. So remember to breathe and take the time to listen on the inner. In the morning, in the evening, give yourself time. Turn off whatever digital distractions are going on an hour before you go to bed, if possible. Do some writing, write down. I know I heard a wonderful exercise yesterday about how to activate Chitta. And Chitta is your cosmic consciousness. And Sadhguru was who I was listening to. And he said that at night, if you make a list of all of the things that you consider to be your identity and you write them down, whether it's your job, whether it's being a woman or a man, whatever it is, to write all that down and put it on your bedside table and let all that go as you drop off to sleep. Just let all those identities go so that you can move into your true divinity, your cosmic identity while you sleep and merge with the divine. Well, during Mercury retrograde, having those energies come through is amazing. And Uranus is the higher octave of Mercury. So with Uranus in Taurus, finding ways to ground those ahas that are quite possible at this time. And, making an effort to connect, to reach out, to connect yourself with friends. This has been a time of such isolation that it's really important that we reach out and we connect with those, those dear ones, especially those that are aligned with us in love. They may not be aligned with all of our attitudes and all of our decisions, but they can be aligned in love, especially if they've been friends for a while. On Sunday night, you might find that your resolve weakens a bit and the tension increases as we prepare for this full moon the next day. But like I said, it's kind of a roller coaster week, even though it doesn't really get to be extremely emotional until the weekend. But with Mercury retrograde, Eris direct, et cetera, the movement from earthy Taurus to airy Gemini, you might find that it's a bit up and down. So have your default spirituality handy. And again, that sense of humor and that deep pocket full of patience. Breathe. Remember, you can do the heart drop anytime. It's so easy once you have practiced it and gotten used to it, to just breathe and drop into your heart and communicate from there. Listen from there. Look at life from there and see how it shifts. I found it to be really profound. And especially during this time when you might want to right wrongs and feel like the warrior is energized and activated again. It's like, you want to be a rebel with a cause, not just a rebel. And if you are a warrior of love and light, you can't go wrong, right? Yeah. So, the full moon is going to be opposite Pluto, so that's going to be intense, and that's what you're going to feel as Sunday evening comes on and Sunday itself. You'll start to feel that intensity, and we'll be talking more about how you can use that. I want to mention the various periods of Mercury retrograde. I remember I said that all the retrogrades start in air signs this year, and then they move back into Earth. So it's like you're going to have insights that are previously hidden from your awareness. And then as those come up, and when it moves back into Earth, you'll see how you can make them more solid. How do they align with your strategy for the year? I'd mentioned, Mercury is going to move direct on the 3rd of February. And I mentioned last week that really the year really takes off in February. So that's why right now, to regenerate, to plan, to get a handle on what it is you want to create, uh, is really, it's the perfect time. It's the perfect time. And also to do some imagineering with Jupiter newly into Pisces as of last Tuesday. Tuesday, a week ago. Yeah, week before last, actually. It's just going to be there till May. So really, using your imagination, noticing where you move into victimhood or suffering. If you were taught that suffering was a virtue, to let that go. It's a time of really expanded spirituality and imagination, and staying in touch with the things that inspire you. And that's an overarching energy that will help you get through this week as well. Remember, everything begins in consciousness. Everything begins in consciousness. And that's really what Mercury is all about. How do my thoughts support my vision of a happy, joyful, fulfilled life? And last year, with the nodes in Gemini and Sagittarius, you really got to see the beliefs that produce good self-talk and the beliefs that keep your self-talk from being uplifting and supportive. So it's a big one. We all, our mind goes on all the time, right? That's why they call it the devil's workshop. So dropping into your heart and just being there, just sitting in that space, breathing in and out of the heart, filling your body with light. These are not idle pursuits. These are the things that will really keep you coming home to yourself. That's what the moon is all about. The moon is where you come home to yourself. It has to do with how you perceive nurturing and security from the womb on. So it's really important to know for yourself and in your relationships, because soulmates are moonmates. So you want to have people in your life who are aligned, as far as, or at least so if your styles of nurturing and your ideas of security are radically different, that's good to know, right? Because then you can find that middle path of harmony. So I'm going to tell you when the rest of the retrogrades are this year. So we have Aquarius back into Capricorn. That's on from the 13th to the 3rd of February, as I mentioned. And then the second one begins in May 10th to the 2nd of June, and that's begins in Taurus and moves back into Gemini. So that begins in an earth sign and moves back into air. And so you'll see what you want to create on a solid level, and your finances, your relationships, and you're getting a good look at that now, because until the 29th, Venus, ruler of Taurus, is still retrograde, asking you to rethink to really look at your relationships, to look at what your heart's desire is, what you want out of relationships, what might block your ability to have successful relationships, might even be the relationship with yourself, because that's where it all begins, right? And then, so you'll be rethinking. And Libra, on the 9th of September, the Mercury retrogrades in the sign of Libra, and it moves back into Virgo, and then moves forward on the 1st of October. So those are your 3 Mercury retrograde periods. And, this is going to be an intense year for air signs as far as Mercury retrograde periods go, and that's Aquarius, Libra, and Gemini. It's going to be challenging as well for water signs, and that's Cancer, Scorpio, and Pisces. And you're going to be asked to cultivate more authentic boundaries and find ways to express yourself through your relationships. Not so much neediness, but flow, to stay in fluidity and flow. And for fire signs, Aries, Leo, and Sagittarius, there will be significant changes within work, aspirations, and community. And fire signs are going to be asked to stay open to new perspectives from others when it's needed, as opposed to I can just do it myself. And form new alliances and slow down to restore your energy and integrate. And that's also true with Eris in Aries now. We all have this somewhere in our chart at 21 degrees. So if you want to know what that means for you and how to use that this year, what's coming up. book a session. And then in Earth, it's asking you to be open to the shift in alignment with innovations and with the deconstruction that's continuing and occurring within society, and to develop new practices. So that's for Capricorn, Taurus, and Virgo, to develop new practices. And so, as you can see, all of this is predicated on an open mind, keeping your mind open. And speaking of which, if you have any questions for me related to this or something else, please put that in the chat. I'd love to hear from you. So also, this cycle asks you, with the full moon coming up, what do you do for life? What is it that you do at home that balances you when you're out and about in the world? Those two things have to be in balance, because Capricorn is the CEO of the zodiac, and it's very goal oriented. So how do you nurture yourself? And this is with the moon's in Taurus now, this is a great week to ask yourself that and to put that into practice. Nurture yourself, nurture your senses, get out in nature, nurture the breath, nurture, literally nurture, your digestion, etc. And avoid overindulgence. That can be really easy right now to, to stuff our emotions with food. And eat well. I mentioned, if you, as you are all vehicles of light, you want to be as detoxified as you possibly can. Let me see what else I've got here for you. One of the things that we're being asked to do this year, especially as we're moving towards the nodal shift, is to embrace formlessness. I've often given the analogy of the butterfly and the caterpillar, how the caterpillar literally surrenders its form and becomes liquid, not knowing. It's not sitting there affirming butterfly. It's trusting the process. And that's what happens when we stay in touch with the divine light and love that we are. We're able to trust our process. And so life is ebb and flow. It's not go, go, go. It is and has been. It's really been a roller coaster the past couple of years. And now we're beginning to come out of the chaos and look at the conclusions, the directions, the new perceptions that have come out of that. I know I was talking to a friend yesterday whom I've known since I was 13 years old. And we were talking about just everything that's going on. And she was talking about fear, about being somewhat afraid. And it's a time when you need to feel your feelings and allow them to move through you and out. But I said, I will not live in fear. I will not be manipulated by fear. And I absolutely will not allow the world, and especially the media and the propaganda going on, to steal my joy. Joy is the clearest evidence of the presence of spirit. And if you can emanate joy, you will be magnetic. As we are in a 2022 year, this is the ignition, big time, of the divine feminine. We won't see another year of twos lined up like this until 22. So that won't be in our lifetime. So what does that mean to you? And if you have an idea of what that means, it's magnetic, it's receptive, it's a new paradigm. It's not about making things happen and pushing forward and being driven. So it becomes like a Japanese koan. I don't know if you've heard that term, K-O-A-N. Japanese koan. It means riddle. Actually, Spock talked about it in Star Trek, where you put a question out there, and then you allow the universe to unfold it for you, to weave that thread in your tapestry of awareness and knowing. So this is all kind of like a Japanese koan right now. It's asking the right questions and then allowing life to bring you the answers. So how can you be more magnetic? How can you allow life and what you are affirming and the frequency that you are matching to flow to you. It's inevitable. And we'll be doing feelization next week with the full moon in case you have not experienced that, because it truly is the real secret. It's the key. So astrology, deepens the systemic structural changes from the, from our awarenesses and experiences in 2021. That's what's happening with the planets this year. And, you're going to have opportunities for adjustment and adaptation all year long, but particularly during the time of Mercury retrograde. It can create, just so you know, it can create a lot of restlessness. I know I had a weekend where I just felt like I was jumping out of my skin. And then I realized that I was having a Uranus square Pluto transit. So big changes, big structural changes coming in my life. And I have some fixed energy. So sometimes I'm not even aware of where I'm resisting. But I know that something that I have been resisting is just clearing the decks, just releasing all the stuff I have cords to that is extraneous, that keeps me from being able to just get in my car and take an adventure. And as we look in the rearview mirror at the nodes last year, Sagittarius and Gemini, Sagittarius loves adventure. It is the adventurer, the discoverer. And Gemini says, is my consciousness aligned with that adventure, aligned with those beliefs? So now we're moving forward on community, on localizing the changes that we want to make. And if I don't know if anybody has any questions, I'm open for those now. We have 7 minutes until the hour, and so we may end a little early. This has been a lot of information, I know, but I hope that you navigate the Mercury retrogrades and have a lot of wonderful ahas and insights, and that it gives you a lot of tools for you to strategize for this year ahead of shifting themes as we move forward into looking at the structures that are breaking down and how we are what new ones we want to build out of that. What we're doing is we're building a foundation right now. So again, faith and trust, because we may not see the fruits of this for a while. But I encourage you to stay away from the mainstream media. Look for your sources of inspiration from those who really are the visionaries creating this new earth, and align with them, because each of you has some precious gift to give. It's why you're on the planet at this time. It's what you were born for. All of you are light workers. I know that, or I would not be connecting with you, because frequency attracts. And I know it's a time when you may find that those who are unaligned in frequency, who are bogged down in fear, doesn't mean that you don't love them or have compassion, but you may find them falling out of your life. So we continue to be in a time of a grand letting go as the new begins to take shape. And I hope it does that for all of you. And I think Debbie's probably run the link for a reading across a couple of times by now. My Facebook page is Moon Powered Astrology. And you can always check in there for a free chat with me, and we'll set it up and we'll have a chat. So please, please do that. And there's the link to book a session if you like. There are 2 sessions there. One is a lunar discovery session. It's a shorter session, but it really goes into the moon and with the moon and the phases and the things that are important for that. I also have a free gift called Moon Phases at a Glance. And if you message me at Moon Powered Astrology on Facebook, I will get that right to you. All I need is your email. And you'll be able to put that up on your refrigerator and check in with the moon as it moves through the phases, and know your action steps and your keywords, and start to play with the moon. I feel the moon, when you work with the rhythms of the moon, you welcome more joy and magic into your life. And with Jupiter in Pisces, this is a year of a lot of magic. Magic is going to be peaking in April and May. So hang in there, everybody. Hang in there. I love you so much. And are there any questions at all? Does anybody have anything to say? So I'm going to close for today. Thank you for being with me. And now, as always, I love you to the moon and way beyond. Have a wonderful, wonderful week.